faces. And so, welcome everybody. And so, look, I always like to set the intention from the beginning. And the goal, I think, for all of us is two things, right? It's mastery, but with mastery comes confidence, right? So, if you think about our business as a whole, if we go all the way back to the beginning, if we gave ourselves 3, 6, 9, 12 months to master one side of the transaction, is there anyone here wholeheartedly that could say that they would not be in a better place than they are today? Right? Because if you look at real estate, more information does not mean more growth. Mastery equals growth. So that's the process that we're all going to go on. So what I need you to do is give yourself the gift of focus, the gift of belief in yourself, knowing that if you do the work over time, it's all going to add up. And for many of us, let me read a message to you that we got from one of our clients who literally just joined. And I share this as a form of inspiration for all of us. So she went on a buyer consultation and she wrote me, and this is from Stacy Leahy. She says, the Med C, the magic question, review the compass advantage. I close with reviewing what's next steps, communication plan, buyer broker agreement, pre-qualify. Then I reviewed the critical 2-page buyer broker agreement in terms and how it will work and the important role and how we submit an offer and negotiate with the seller. Still need to fine tune the script, so try to focus on being personable, off script, and communicate this is about them, not me. But the most exciting part is the questions you gave me to ask clicked with me as they led me to understand what they really need and where they really are. This is how fast you can use the information, right? So what I want all of you to do, to be really clear, is show up to the session, either go to Cherish's accountability session next or Jody's on Thursday, practice within the sessions, right? Remember, the question is, if this is a question that's only good for me, don't ask the question. If it's a good question that could apply to everybody, that's a great group question, right? And then the third thing is you should find people and practice what you learned in the accountability sessions. This is how you'll master your business, you'll earn more money, you'll build a referral network, and ultimately you won't be going through this process alone. All right, so let me jump into our training for today. All right, everybody can see my screen. So we're going to talk about building strong beginnings, mastering the, I don't know why that says seller, but this is the actual buyer pre-qualification process, right? So we're going to talk about the 7 keys of effective conversation, why pre-qualifying, the Med C plus the magic question. I think the magic question is one of the coolest things that you'll ever see, but it'll show you how exactly to know what a person wants from an agent, how we're going to leverage AI, framing your CRM, putting it all together, and what do we do going forward? So the 7 keys to effective conversations are a framework that we want you to use in all of the conversations that you have. Now, if you follow this framework, it takes all the pressure off of you, because the sooner you can realize that what a buyer decides to do is their choice, what responsibility do you really have in the transaction besides meeting somebody where they are, providing them great service, giving them right data and information in a way that they can digest, right? Key number 2, the person asking the questions controls the conversation. If you learn, which will teach you how to ask great questions, you're in control. So if somebody says to Alex, so what makes you different than other agents? Well, this other agent said this, you're defensive. So if you're talking the whole time, you're not having an effective conversation that helps somebody else. Number 3 and number 4, always be in agreement with the client, and everything has to be in their benefit. I don't want to overpay in this market. Who has heard that from their buyer in the last 3 months? Great. You know, overpaying is something that just really doesn't feel good. And so let's look at the market through the eyes of your goals and expectations and see if the right deal is available for you. Doesn't that sound a lot better than, well, like we could check out the market and this is what people are paying? Like, you don't need to do that, right? So when you know the right questions to ask, the right things to say, you can always be in agreement with the client and everything's their benefit. Number 5, no telling, no explaining, no being combative. No one wants to invest in a salesperson that has a combative point of view. There's a difference between sharing information and helping people come to their own conclusion versus just lecturing them. Like the clients are not your kids, right? You're not the college professor, they're not the student. They're hiring advisors, consultants that are salespeople, right? So what's the worst thing people want? No one wants to be lectured by the salesperson why they should buy something and why it's good for them. We need to help them understand. Number six, never show you're attached to any outcome because whatever they do is their choice. So how could you be attached to it? And number seven is like my mental health for everybody. Look, what I want all of you to realize is one thing. Who you are and how you work is not for everybody. Like, and I encourage a lot of you to write that down. Who you are and how you work is not for everybody, right? So if you look at Hermes, I love using them as an example. You got to go through some crazy stuff, buy thousands of dollars of stuff before they give you the privilege of buying a handbag. To me, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I would never do it, but I would never go shop there. I'm not their customer. That logically does not make sense to me, right? But there are a lot of people in the world that align with how they work, align with the exclusivity and all the other benefits of the brand that they perceive, right? So what that means is I'm Cherish Hope. This is how I work. This is what I have to offer. This is my system. This is how my clients get results. And if that's good for you, great. If that's not good for you, that's great too. Right? Write these words down. Whatever I do, whatever you decide to do, I support you 100%. So here is the dilemma, right? So buyers, will a home, will I feel a home that makes my family feel at home? The buyers, I have exclusive access to listings before they hit the market and they can get to your hands first. Can I see my kids growing up and making memories? My deep knowledge of the local neighborhood can help you find the perfect community, right? The right side is what we think about. The left side is what they think about. Somebody asked Lauren to go see a property on Zillow. The agent's like, I got a lead. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to share the home. I'm going to try to get a buyer consultation. Their website is, I went on a website, I clicked the button, I asked for showing what is all this. Do you see the dilemma here? How can I find a home and move with a busy schedule? Let me show you the 100 things I do as a buyer's agent. Do you guys see where the fragment is in all of this? Yes or no? See, the left side is where they are, and we need to meet them where they are. So look, I believe in this saying that was taught to me a long time ago is how it starts is how it goes. Those initial interactions is going to set the tone for the entire transaction. And just remember, your time, your energy, and experience, if it's not overvalued by you, that mirror that the clients reflect back, you're not going to get it, right? You have to see value in what you do. You have to say no to people that are completely unrealistic because we have the subconscious need to feel that we have clients. Those people drain your energy and your confidence. And no matter how delusional they are, you start to eventually think, what's wrong with me? Like, I can't find him a home. And then they go work with somebody else who just explains the facts better. And then you're crushed, right? This is like a trauma cycle of real estate agents, right? So look, you want to understand exactly what they want from the agent they're going to partner with. So look, you'll have a personalized approach. You can meet the buyers where they are. And ultimately, everything we do here has a process. Like I can see several people on this call that have been going through this for years and they keep coming because they get better and better and better at it. And their business gets easier and easier and easier, right? So how do you know what to tailor a conversation for a buyer if you don't know what they want? So in the end, you end up making stuff up, right? So if you look at what sunk the Titanic, it wasn't what was above the iceberg, it was what was under the iceberg, right? Above the iceberg is all those things that we see in the right column. It's like, hey, here are the 100 benefits I have. I have access to off-market properties and all this stuff I can do for you. Well, under the buyer's iceberg, it's I have a motivation to move, things that I'm excited about. I have things that I expect out of you, past disappointments, concerns, right? So you want to go under and you want to go deep. The most amazing thing that happens when you do this is that people put their entire guard down. So things like trust, rapport, those are all feelings that are created by interactions and engagements. And once you ask these questions, like magic, it happens. Now, for everybody's like, ah, Chirag, it's going to take me a lot of time to memorize this. No, it's not. Literally, you can show up with this written down on a piece of paper and read it. People appreciate it. So what does the MED-C stand for? The M is two things: motivations. What are you most excited about happening as a direct result? Expectations, disappointments, and concerns. That's what the MEDC stands for. Now, motivation. Now, when I think of motivation, I always try to make a joke, right? Because pre-qualifying, depending on tonality, sounds like an FBI interrogation. So when are you looking to move by? How soon do you need to be there? Have you been pre-qualified? How much money do you have for a down payment? Like, are you kidding me? Like, think about how many people are married or have partners and what it was like to talk about this like person that you love and you share life with about money. Like, how dare you ask me if I have money on the first date? Like, that's not cool, right? But there are different ways of going about this that seems that it's in the benefit of the client and why they would want to do that. So I would say, moving is not fun, nor something anyone wakes up and is like, hey, let's all just move, right? Like, it's a really exciting thing to do. So what makes this the right time to make a move? And they're going to identify, okay, this is the timing issue, right? Now, write these words down. If I find the right property, when I find the right deal, or I don't have to move only if, right? Anyone that is an only if, run, like literally run. They're never going to buy a house. And if they do buy a house, the amount of time that they're going to spend on it, right? There are only certain trigger events in life, and I encourage you all to self-identify what those things are, right? Death, divorce. I'm going dark here in the beginning because it's the first D's I could think about, right? Your lease is expiring and you want to buy a house. Somebody's extending their family. They're down, like they're triggered events. I need to want to move to Westport, Connecticut, and I need to be here before the school starts. That is a time-based move with an actual reason that's driving it. Do not work with these if clients. And if you have no clients, great. Literally spend your entire day prospecting and doing open houses for other people. It will lead to a better outcome than taking around people that you don't know what you're doing. Like that don't necessarily ever going to buy a house. The E, right? So the second part about the M that we didn't add onto the last slide is, what are you most excited about happening as a direct result of moving, right? Because that will bring it to the pleasure point in the cortex. You're going to say, you know what, Shrag really cared about what makes this the right time. He self-identified that this process really sucks, and it's stressful. Now, you know what? When I move, like I can't wait to have like this huge yard that my kids could play in. Like, and that's going right to the pleasure point in the cortex. And you're going to need that information if you need to influence the people later on in the transaction to remind them of why they're doing what they're doing. Right? Because people can get stuck in this emotional pattern of numbers and not wanting to spend $10,000 more, but they'll go out to dinner and waste $300, right? Like all of those different things happen. So, sorry, expectations are, what are your expectations of an agent you partner with for the purchase of your home? You need to let them listen, right? Like you need to listen, excuse me. Let them share. Then the next thing that you're going to want to ask them as part of the expectations are, now this is unique positioning. What are your expectations of an agent for finding you off-market properties? Right? Everyone's trying to copy what we're doing, like Douglas Elliman and this brokerage and Sotheby's, but they don't have the technology, they don't have the back end, they don't have all of you. We have over 9,000 listings on our private exclusive network and 12,000 or 13,000 on our Make Me Move. There's like real inventory here, right? And there's always new inventory. So you're going to want to, and then lastly, you're going to ask, what are your expectations around communication? Right? Some of them will come up in the process. Other of them you want to identify because you want the people to talk about this, right? The other part of this is as they're talking about this, they're going to bring it up if they're interviewing other agents. And quite frankly, most agents have no plan around any of this stuff. I don't know, but if I'm hiring like a highly skilled professional, yeah, anytime, call me anytime for anything you need. I'm always available. That's like a major red flag. That says I'm completely unorganized and I got my phone. If you need something, like you can call me and I'll figure it out. Like that doesn't provide me much comfort. Disappointments, right? People's past disappointments impact their present decisions, right? So in an effort to meet and exceed your expectations, Beth, it's important for us to understand what past disappointments you've had with an agent you've worked with or a service provider, so we ensure that they don't happen during this process. This, as soon as you ask somebody this, their entire guard goes down because salespeople never ask this question. Anywhere you go, Shrug, what are your past disappointments about buying a car that you want to make sure that you avoid during this process? Oh my God, the last guy was like this, right? You'll get it. And those are all the things that you need to tailor your pitch so that the people hire you, right? And the last one is concerns, right? Like what keeps you up at night, right? And then you could start like sharing the common objections, right? Is it interest rates? Is it inventory? Is it timing? And these are all the hidden objections that come up. And you're like, wait a second, why didn't they ever tell me about this? It's like, well, you never asked the question, right? So whose fault is that? We need to establish authority and control from the beginning. This, it's all their choice. We're asking the questions. We're in the agreement of the client. All this stuff is in their benefit. We're not telling, explaining, we're just listening whole way through, right? So you're going to get through the Med C. Now, when you get to mastery, you're going to be able to repeat it back. I would say, you know, Sarah, what makes this the right time to make a move is you really want to get out of New York and go to Florida because like those cold winters, you can't take it anymore. What you're most excited about is saving on state income tax because you know you'll be able to go on one extra vacation a year. Your expectations of an agent is a person that can create inventory, be a great communicator, and really have a structured plan that makes you feel like a partner. Your past disappointments around lack of communication where you had to chase your agents down, and ultimately your biggest concern is how do I find a home while selling my current home? Because I really don't, like I have to move, we've identified, but we're afraid to be homeless or not to have the right house. And we want to go through different options that we have. Great, right? Then you ask the next question. Here's the magic question. What do you envision an agent doing for you that you feel, the feel is the most important word, that you can't do yourself? So this is what we call creating the gap, and then you can fill the gap. Now, people like to change words in some of these things, and it literally one word could change the whole thing. What do you envision an agent doing for you that you can't do for your can't do on your own or can't do for yourself? That is combative, right? It's like when somebody says, "Oh, I have your best interest at heart." Like I'm your advocate. Well, yeah, you know, also as advocates, kids in court that can't speak for themselves, right? Like you're not anybody's advocate. You don't have their best interest at heart. Like these are all fluff words. Show those things in your engagement and interactions through your strategy and the way you communicate. So you share this, now all of a sudden they've told you exactly what they want. They've told you their motivations, what they're most excited about, their expectations, disappointments, concerns, and exactly what they want out of an agent. Because if you can't identify that people can do a lot of these things on their own, you're going to have a challenge too. So utilizing AI, every single person should go buy a Plod note. I have no affiliation with this company. I'm not going to give you a link. Just go type in Plod note, Plaudeai, right? And literally it's an AI enabled voice recorder where you could have it as a wearable, you could have it as a chain, you could like clip it on the back of your phone, but it's a ChatGPT 4.0 enabled device where it will capture all the details of your conversation and literally create a recap within seconds that you can share with your buyers. So when you show up, I would say to Chad from Santa Barbara, I'd say, hey, Chad, you know, we want to leverage AI so that we can effectively capture every detail of what's most important to you so that we could fully just focus on listening to listen. And this way we'll capture all the details and send it to you within an hour after the meeting. Would that be okay? They're gonna be like, yeah, dude, that's great. You don't have to take a single note. You can really just be fully engaged. So like you're either listening to listen, listening to respond, or listening to take notes. If you're doing more than one, you're not really listening at all. You're not really there, right? So framing sets the stage for the conversation, right? So when you're doing the Med C, would it be okay if I asked you a few really important questions so that we could solely focus our time on what's most important to you? Do you know the only thing the buyers heard? Solely focus our time on what's most important to me. They're going to say, oh yeah, great, right? So if you take that out, it's like, hey, I'd like to ask you a few questions. We've had clients do this in the past. Like, we asked them the questions really weird. I'm like, yeah, because they didn't have the frame and the context for the conversation, that the entire conversation is only going to benefit them. Right. So the second part is listening to listen, right? When you're using something that captures all the details of the conversation, you're not scrambling to take notes or anything else like that. You're truly present. Now, echoing back. So you want to move to Florida to get better weather. Yes, great. So what are you most excited about moving? Oh my God, so you're gonna be able to take an extra vacation. Amazing. What are your, like, you're just repeating a couple words back to show that you listened, right? Recapping the conversation is what I shared with you guys in the end. Like, hey, just want to make sure that I listened, Chad, to everything you said. And feel free if I left out any detail or anything you want to add on. So the curated words there are: listen to everything you said. Feel free to let me know if I left out any details. You're not going to leave out any details once you practice this. And if there's anything to add on. And the second to last one is the most important one. Do not tell people what you're going to do. I want off-market properties. You know what? At Compass, we have Compass Coming Soon, Compass Private Exclusives. We also have Make Me Move listings. And like, we also have this whole likely to sell thing. So it's like 4 different categories of off-market property. Nope, gone. See you later. Bye. The magic isn't just listening, repeating back the information, letting them process in their brain that they feel seen, heard, connected with, and acknowledged. And then ask the magic question, right? Because here's the thing, the question's magic because the answer you get back. But the second one, when or if they meet somebody else and the other person doesn't ask, what do you envision an agent doing where you feel you can't do yourself? And they don't ask about their med C, how well do you think the other person's going to think that they know them? Not well. Who here presented differently in qualifying buyers before they came here today? Anybody? I would imagine most people raise their hands. Now, hearing this, which process would you want to do? Which one will make your clients feel better? It's this one. Because it's been engineered to focus on other people's wants and needs, right? So we've gone through framing the conversation. Like, would it be okay, right? Would it be okay if I asked you a few really important questions so we could solely focus our time together on what's most important to you? And yes, we give you all the slides. Listening to listen, you have to just be there, right? Because once you start applying effective and active listening, the way that you show up is going to change. And when you actually internalize what the clients want, the conversations you have will have so much more confidence, right? Echoing back, great. You want to have better weather. Perfect, right? Like, just showing that you listen instead of going there, right? Like, and this, like, echoing back to somebody is like a period at the end of the sentence before going to the next thing and the next thing and just making it one run-on paragraph, right? Recapping the conversation. We'll go through back and say, hey, Chad, just want to make sure that I listened to everything you said correctly. And feel free to let me know if I left out any details or if there's anything else you'd like to add on. And I cannot emphasize this enough. This is why this is in like big, bold letters on its old slide. Please resist the need to share what you can do for people. It is a sign of not being trained. There's a time and place for all of these things. Listen, I define sales for this community having effective conversations to help other people get what they want, right? So our team essentially is training all the origin point loan officers in the country. And I'm trying to teach them how to become better presenters right now, right? And I always say, like, listen, you can't go to a sales meeting that they know that they're putting you there because you're part of the company and then give a college style lecture about here's the loan, here's the DTI. Like, people don't care. Nobody cares about buy before you sell, but people care about unlocking new listing inventory, right? Because that's what they want. Meet the agents where they are. And they're like, oh my God, this is incredible. We never thought about it like that. I'm like, yes, that's why every time for the years that I worked at Compass, when I would see a lender go into a meeting, I would literally just leave, just walk straight out of the room. I'm like, there's no value here that's given to people, right? If you can't meet people where you are, the value's not there. Frame the conversation, ask the Med C, recap the conversation, ask the magic conversation, ask the magic question. Simple process, right? Compass CRM. Spend a little bit of time looking at this, right? You're going to create a new contact. You're going to group the leads, tag the buyers as not purchased, neighborhood that they're looking in, price point, buyer consultation, and the year. Now, remember, the whole point of all of this is so that if you have a listing in a certain neighborhood, you might want to have the buyer in the certain neighborhood, right? So if I have a listing and let's just say Coral Gables, I was just in Miami, so that's top of mind, or Miami Beach, right? I would put in the Miami Beach tag and then I would say, oh, wow, like who has a Miami Beach tag that is not purchased and off market? And I could start putting deals together in my database, right? And enter the Med C into the notes section. It is really important you do this because you have to follow back up with people. It's not like, hey, it's a Shrug from Compass. Chad, just want to see if you're still in the market for a home last year. No, like, hey, Chad, it's Shrug from Compass. I know you had a really powerful goal of moving to Florida for these reasons. Kind of want to see where you are in the process, right? Or how could I be most helpful? It will create a better conversation. So these end slides are just putting the information in, putting the Med C in the notes section. Now let's put it all together. You need to get a plot note. If you're going out to lunch and spending $20, you go out to one dinner this month, you have the money to buy this. Please do so. And like, look, I'm going to go on a quick little detour here. We all need to be more comfortable and confident investing in ourselves than like services like food and drinks. If the question is like, well, I need this for my business, it's $200, it's a lot of money, I'm going to use it. But then tonight you're going to go blow $200 in dinner. Like, we need to look in the mirror and know that the greatest investment you'll ever make is that person in the mirror and the body that you live in, right? That is number one. It is easy to cut a dinner out. It is really hard not to have what you want out of your business every single day. So pre-qualify every buyer, record the conversation, send the recap email, enter all the information in your CRM, right? I need you now to take the Med-C script and read it 3 to 5 times a day. Go to the accountability session. There's one right after this, and there's another one on Thursday. And then find role play partners and block 3 times a week to practice this. This is the most important thing that will have the biggest immediate, like this. For all the new people that join, like, I want a great ROI on our program. You can ask anyone that's been here. If you do the Med C, you'll see an immediate ROI. It will happen within seconds of the first conversation you have. So, all right, I'm at 11:59, Cherish. I'm like on the dot. You can put, we all have the links in her calendar. Cherish put the link to her accountability session. Yeah, Sarah got a $9.25 million listing with her Med C and Plod note. It works. So, all right, everybody, love my heart. I love you all. If you're a team leader, I will see you back here in 30 minutes for a team lead session. And everybody go to an accountability session. Bye, everybody.